Good morning, everyone. Jackie Bloom here, independent close to my heart consultant. How's your Friday going? Say hi if you're around, and we will get started in just 1 minute and just give people time to say hi if you're there. Remember that you can shop up here at jackiebloom.closetomyheartctmh.com. There's a lot of scammers out there, and I would never ask you in my comments to go somewhere else. Click here. So know that, because it has been happening, and I don't want you to be taken advantage of. Alrighty, shall we get started? So today I'm going to show you how I colored in these 3 items. On the cards that I did for seniors. So here's a close-up. I'm just checking to see that the camera's doing good. Tried to get my camera down a little bit closer so that way you could watch a little bit better, and I think I'm going to move it down just a smidge more. The sun seems to be going in and out behind the clouds today, which always causes issues, right? Let's see if that'll focus on there really good. Almost there. Where'd it go? There it is. Come on, move up. Still trying to learn the camera. Okay, looks like you can see it pretty good there. So we'll leave this one over here. Okay, so this one I am using colored pencils to color this in. And one thing I would say is, if you start your colors light, you can always add more and make them a little darker. Okay. And the other thing that I do, I don't know if you can see on my pencil here, that I don't have a tip. I have dulled it to where I have a smooth surface. And the reason for that is if you have a sharp point, you're going to get a more deep and sharp line than if you have this softer edge. You're going to color more smoothly, I guess. You're not going to dig into the paper, okay? So I'm just going to go around and color this in. Hopefully my head won't get in the way. And then I'm going to, and you just saw me kind of turn it to get a little bit of that sharper edge, just to help me get a little bit more depth, a little bit deeper color where I want it. Okay, so that's the first layer. And I don't know about you, but I went through and numbered, you can barely see that's 14. Where is it? Right there. 14. And here's the first layer, if you will. Okay? And then I'm going to go down, and you see how I'm just kind of pushing firm to get some color. And then again, like I told you with the, I'm going to show you with the markers, turn it so you can see what you're coloring, okay? And it really doesn't matter if you go back and forth, you know, this kind of thing, because then it just kind of gets into those fibers and stuff, alright? So there we go. There's our first layer, if you will. Then I'm going to take this unusual color, which is, where's my camera? 31. Well, my numbering. And I am going to kind of just give me a little bit of the darker areas. And it can kind of be where you want it to be. This one doesn't have any definite lines of where the dark would be. Now on the cone, it's kind of flat right now. So I'm just going to go and kind of think of a letter C, and I'm just going to do it in each one of those little squares, okay? And this just adds a little bit of depth, a little bit of, you know, that contrasting color, which I know it kind of looks like a weird color to be adding. It's kind of a green color, but it blends with the other color, and I am pressing fairly hard. And what was I going to say? It's Friday, I don't know. Oh, and then the other thing I'm going to do is just kind of go over that line. A lot of times I'll tell you not to go over the line because it'll add a lot. I want just a little bit more. Hopefully I'm on camera. Yes. Just a little bit more. Alright. So now, when we look at it, you can see there's a lot more depth. And it just adds some texture and kind of makes it look more 3D'd, if you will. Okay. So those were some unusual colors to put onto an ice cream cone, but they work. Alright, so now we are going to do this pink, and again I've got that soft edge, and I always start out light and add a little more color, and I kind of add a little darker color maybe in the pointed area, and since I've added it here, I'm going to kind of add it all the way up along that edge. Okay, so there's that one, and there's, let's see, light, yellow, yellow, I have to follow my pattern, that, and then this one, right there, and then the tip. Alright, like so. Alright, then I'm going to take the next color, which is my lighter color, as you look at those, and that's going to be my second one. Now that is fairly light, so I want to give a little bit darker pressure to that one to color it. And then this one. Okay, and then we're going to take our yellow. Now the yellow is really strong color, so this light one we did lightly, or dark heavily. This one, since it's a strong color, we're going to just lightly color it, because it is, if you added the pressure that I did on the other one, you would be just really, really bright. Okay, so you can always add more. It's harder to take away, although these are pencils that will erase fairly well. Alright, and now don't forget that little top. Alright, so there's that. Oh, and the blue, which I don't have over here, I just found that soft edge, and I just went back and forth, and I didn't cover everything with the blue, just kind of from about the R to the L. Okay, all right, hopefully you could see that. Yes, I think so. There we go. All right, so now to make it pretty, I took my shimmer brush, and here again, light to dark. Everything is kind of always think of light to dark. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go in here, and if this happens to your brush, you can try and smooth it back on there. Otherwise, just cut it off. And just be careful, mindful when you put it into here that you don't get that. So we're going to start with the lightest color, which is that kind of peachy color. And I'm going to add my shimmer brush. And then, because I started with a lighter color, you can either wipe it off, which just takes like 3 or 4 strokes, and then go back and do the other one. Now this are watercolor pencils. So when you add this, which you could add just a wet paintbrush, but you know, I like sparkles. I think everybody knows that. It blends in the colors. Okay? Take that one off for sure before you go to the yellow so you don't muddy your colors. Okay? And see how that yellow is getting darker as we blend, and then make sure that you run it off. Doesn't take much, like I said. Gonna get that in there. And that just kind of blends in. Hopefully you can see that shine. Let me see if I'm on camera. Waiting for the laptop to catch up. Wish we didn't have quite the lag that it does. It's always like, somebody said one time it's like 30-second lag. Now you could go over the ice cream cone if you wanted to blend that in a little bit more. Let's see. Yeah, see, I'm always off camera. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to put it up a little higher, see if that works. And I did move it closer, so that way you could hopefully see me doing stuff. It does not look like I'm on camera yet, so let's adjust that a little bit. Getting better. It's a process, let me tell you. Okay, come on, get on camera. Nice view of my hand there. Let's see. Come on, over. And there's such a glare today. There we go. There, hopefully now you can see it. There's such a glare today. I'm trying to look through my phone, which I'm on my tiptoes, and look over at the laptop. And I will take a screenshot of this so that way you can see that. Alright, so that was colored pencils, watercolor pencils, and a shimmer brush. And next we're going to do this little guy. Alright, so fair skin. So what I love about these markers is that you have 3 colors in one pen. A light, a medium, and a dark. And if you get your cap on there right, it says light, medium, dark. And I always like to start with the light and then add more as you need. And you can always go back to the light to blend. So think of going back to the light as the shimmer brush and how it blended. Okay? So the first thing I like to do when I'm coloring with markers is, one, I kind of tend to stay close to that edge, but not quite, because the marker does bleed just a tiny bit. So I'm going to add my first layer of light color, okay? Which is just kind of light color. Then I'm going to go into the medium color, and I guess the best thing to say is don't go over all the light or you won't get any depth. So I'm just going to go around the edge and kind of like the top of the cuffs, there would be a little bit of a shadow there. So I'm just going to add a little bit there. You add the shadow wherever you want. Okay, and then I'm going to go to the dark, and I'm going to do kind of a dot, dot, dot to add a little bit of that. And I just kind of did a half a C. A little bit by his hat. A little bit right there. Now, if you didn't like the dot, dot, dot that you did, you could go back and blend it out with the light. So always know where the light color is. Always check your marker first to make sure that you've got the right color. It's nothing worse than putting in a dark and you didn't want it to be dark. And with the sun today, hopefully you can see his little nose. Okay, so that was fair skin. Oh, and let me grab the card that matches him. Here is the look that we are going for. And I just want to make sure that we're on camera. Okay, looks like I'm getting better. All right. So next, let's take our tan. Remember, find the light. And we are going to, this is what you color everything with, the light color. Now you don't always have to do that, but that's what I'm doing on this guy. Then I'm going to take my medium layer, and I'm just going to kind of go where his hand is and kind of just along the bottom edge. Oops, I just colored his hand. Oh well. And then I'm going to go on top of his pants and along the bottom. Okay, so the dark. Let's add a couple little dots, kind of in the little shadow areas, and a little bit up here, above his jeans, and a little bit down there. So that gives us a little guy that's got a belt and shoes on now. I love the gnomes. Alright, what's next? Let's do green. Oh, and that color was tan. And if you look, there's your dark end, there's your light end, but it still says tan blend. This one is dull green. Find your light, and we will start coloring. Okay, let's see. Let's do his pants first. Now, some people would just go across and do his pants like this as one big fell swoop. I tend to separate that and not go over that black line, especially if you have darker colors, because it'll kind of fuzz out that black line. We also have to do his cuffs. There again, I'm turning it so I can see where I'm going, rather than to try and go backwards and then you go outside the lines, okay? Hat is next, and I make sure I'm in camera. I like to give him an outline. It just helps me to not, especially when you're coloring it all in, it helps me to have a little bit of a border, so that way I don't go outside the lines, okay? And some people go like this, and kind of a straight line. Other people go in a circle. I like to go in a straight line until I get too close to the edge, and then I do a circle. And again, I'm turning it so that way I'm getting everything covered and I can see it. Next, okay, let's give him a little bit of an edge on the top of his cuffs. And that's a much stronger color. You can already see a lot of depth. Okay. A little bit under here, a little bit there to separate that. Maybe a little there, and this is where you just kind of play with it. Okay, now on the hat, these lines are already, we know those are the fold lines in the creases, so that's where it's going to be a little darker. Okay, and then I like to go up along the edge, and instead of dots this time, I'm going to do little flicks like this. But I'm not going to do them all the same size. I'm going to make them different sizes like that. Or try to. This is where I got to get my head in here. I can't see that way, so. Okay. And then I'm going to do some little dots here, just to kind of give it another little look. And I'll let you see that. So you can see the little dots on the one side, you can see the little flicks on the other side. Thank you to Michelle Johns for saying flicks, because I didn't know what those were called. And that's what she calls them. Now, we're going to go back to the light. And why are we going back to the light? To blend it in. It looks like it's not. It looks like it's making a darker color, but as it dries, it's going to blend in. Okay? Now we're going to go on to the dark. So again, remember I said don't go right over the top of everything. You want to shorten up your strokes. Okay? or dots. So that way you leave behind the light, you leave behind the medium, and now we're just going to add, those are obviously the fold lines. We're just going to add, and on my dots, I don't go in a line, I kind of go like this, back and forth, because I don't want them, and be light on your touch, kind of back and forth, back and forth. And then we're going to go back to the light. Remember, that's our blender. And blend in anything out that you don't want, or that you want to be blended. Okay. Oh, and we can add a little bit of dark. There again, I tend to always look. And the other thing I'm going to tell you, I don't know if you saw me do it, but I tend to rotate as I go. So that way you're not smushing down one side of your tip, so you don't get that look kind of like with what we wanted with the colored pencils. Okay. So because this is so much darker, we definitely want to go back to the light and blend it in. Just helps to soften. You still get the depth, but it just kind of makes it so it's not so stark. Alright, so here is our little guy. Who's watching? Debbie. Hi, Debbie. Thank you for joining us. Alright. Next is the red. Again, find the light. That sounds so funny. And we are going to be careful because the red is a strong color and we're going up next to that flush color. I'm going to turn it so I can see where I'm going. I'm being careful on this first row because that's the most critical for going outside the line. So stay in the line. Okay, so now I'm going to color that in. It's better to not finish coloring his shirt with the light, but to go back to the medium color. The longer that it stays wet, if you will, before it kind of dries, the better it is. Now I'm going to hit it with the dark. Kind of go into those dots again. And then I'm going to go back to the light, blend it out a little bit. Okay. Now we're going to, let's see, we were on the light. Alright, so in doing his coat and his beard, I kind of just move up to it a little bit, go real slow. I can't see to go this way, so I'm going to turn it so I can see where I'm going so I don't get any of that red where I don't want it. Okay? And on this little tiny V in, I'm going to dot it because it's much easier to dot those little tiny areas than to try and swipe it or color it in like I'm doing here. Okay? So again, I need to be able to see where I'm going. So I'm following that line, but I'm not going over that line. I'm dotting when I need to. I'm turning the paper when I need to. I need to make sure that I can see everything. I'm outlining. And it seems like one side is always a little bit harder than the other when you're doing this. I'm very lightly touching the paper because, like I said, it will bleed a little bit, not as bad as some other markers we've had. So if you're just mindful of start light and also mindful that it's going to bleed through the back, okay? So if you've got like a card layer, make sure that you're doing your coloring first. Don't do it on your card, otherwise you're going to have to put a white backing paper inside your card to cover up what that would look like, if you can imagine opening your card and seeing that, if you will. Alright, so there's our first layer. Second layer, I'm going to go in kind of where these lines are. It's going to chunk up there. I do like to outline a little bit. V is kind of on either side of that crease. I'm going to build up this corner a little bit more. And see, I'm always turning them. One here, dot, dot, dot to get that little V. A little bit more right here. Very thin line there. Okay. Now you can leave it like that if you like it. That was the medium. Wow. We didn't even have to go to dark. Let's see how much it fades out if we touch the light to it. And I don't know if you can see, but I'm not going over where the medium color is. I'm kind of going just beyond it to blend it in. Okay? So if this is where my medium was, I'm kind of touching it to it like this, just to blend out that sharp line. Okay? Hope that makes sense. Now, a little bit of dark in the dot, kind of going. A little bit of dark. There we go. Alrighty, our little guy is done. Although I noticed that his face, I don't see a lot of definition in his nose. So I'm going to add a little more. And a little bit more on his ears. And maybe the top of his hand. Okay, that one looked really dark, so let's blend that one out just a little so he doesn't look like he's got two-tone hands or like a cow would be with the spots. Okay, so now, I like that, but I want to add just a little bit of something, something. So I'm going to take my shimmer brush. Remember, always shake them up, shake, shake, shake. And make sure it's clean from the last time. I'm just going to add a little bit down by his beard here, just to give him a littlest bit. And I'm not going evenly across it. Kind of following the lines of his beard and just giving him a little bit of pizzazz or sparkle, if you will, and hopefully you can see that little bit of sparkle. Okay, so that is how we did. Where did I put the other one? That is how I made the little sparkle guy on this one. And here's a tip, because this happened to me on this card. I used a different one of my clear markers, and it might have been that one, and it kind of gave me a blob, so I just took my finger and swiped it along where I wanted it to be. So it makes it a little bit flatter, but that'll work. And the other thing you can do is always have a little block around to kind of, when you open up your marker, test it on there to see how much you're going to get. Sometimes you'll get a blob, especially if it's a brand new one. And if you have it on a little block, then you can use it later for coloring in or flicking onto a card, all that good stuff. Alrighty, let's do this one. So this one, oh, let me grab the card. This one has a lot going on. Let's see. So we're doing this little piece here. Oh, and I need to grab a marker, another shimmer brush. So let me grab that. It's around here somewhere. There it is. This is the lemonade that we're going to use. All right. So on this one, I'm going to use markers again. And I like to have a little piece of cardstock around. These ones I knew, there's not very many colors on the other two, so I didn't need it. But I have a little bit of cardstock around rather than this paper, because this is a heavier weight and you can see your colors better. So when you're trying to figure out what colors you want, you can put them on here. Okay, so I do not need the fair skin one, nor do I need that or that. All right, so let's start with, and here's where I'm going to check, yes, that's the color I want. So this color is going to be inside our coconut. And this color is gold brown. And again, you see me turning it so I can see where I'm going and not going over that black line. Okay. Now, I'm missing one of my markers. I'm going to have to find it or buy me another one, which is the dark, it's a darker brown one. So had I had that one, I would have used that for the coconut shell here. But I don't, so I can't. All right, now I'm going to the medium. Yes. And I'm going to add it very lightly. Remember, dot when you need to get into any little corners. And this one, it's kind of a thin one, so I'm kind of like going in the middle, and then I just come up next to it. So that way, I'm not going over the line, right? Get it to where it's comfortable to do. Remember to turn your marker from time to time. We want to use all the marker we can. Keep it nice. Alright. There's layer 2. And now we're going to switch to tan. I believe, yes. There again, I'm going to mark my color. Yep, tan. Okay, tan is going to be the whole base of the outside of the coconut. Now, there's a little tiny line there. And if you apply just the tiniest bit of pressure, you can color that in without going over the line, okay? It's all about taking your time, don't rush, breathe if you need to. You know, sometimes you're like, ah! Take a breath and color and enjoy it. See how I'm just kind of following the curve of the flower, not getting super close to it. I like to outline stuff so that way I can give myself a little barrier against that black line for when I go in and I say, okay, now I can color. And color I do. There we go. And at first I thought I would miss the bigger end of our other markers, but I don't. Alright, so now we're going to go to the medium, and this is still tan color, and I want to put in those edges. And there again, I am just scribbling, if you will. Remember, we want to leave some of that lighter layer, but give ourselves enough of the medium layer that you can add some more of the darker layer, right? And a coconut, you know, is kind of bumpy and stuff, so that's why I'm kind of scribbling a little bit. Try and keep some of that. And I didn't go over it with the light yet. I want to kind of keep some of that. Now this is where our dots are really going to give us some definition. So if you do dots and you stack them really close, you're still going to get kind of dots, but they're going to be filled in. The more that you put your dots with a little space in between, then you're still going to see that other color, and it's going to be a little bit more textured. That dark, I'm going to add a little bit just to get a little darker around the edges and still give me some of that. And as it dries a little bit lighter, so just wait for it to dry and see where you need a little more, basically. Okay, I'm trying not to go over all of the medium color that I added. Okay. I'm going to go back and add just a smidge there, a smidge up here, and there we go. Now see how much, with just knowing the flick or the dot, that you can get a lot more texture, and I didn't go over that with the light. If I went over it with the light, it's going to blend it in a little bit more, and you're going to lose some of your dots. So I'll just do that little top part, and hopefully you can see that. See how it just lessened up that look of the dots, but you can still see the very light, the medium color, and the dark color within that. Okay, moving on. Alrighty, let's see. Orange is our next color, and we are only going to use the light because it is a strong color. Okay, now here's a problem that you might have. Your color is just too strong, and you don't have, as you can see on here, it's just too strong. And I don't have another orange of any kind, right? So I'm going to give myself a little bit of help by not coloring in everything like that, okay? And then I'm going to go back to, I believe it's this one. I think so. This gold brown blend. And I am going to pull the orange and mix it in with that other color. And the more you do it, the lighter that orange becomes. And you can see there's none of that dark orange on my pen, which is really nice. These are really nice markers. But you can see that now it matches a little better. It's not that, I'll show you. Where's the light? It's not that dark color. It's more of a blended color. Now, if you don't like that much of the light, you could go back and color the light orange and then go over it again with that other color, just to soften it up. But I'm okay with it being like that. Okay, moving on to dull green. So this one's really easy because they're little leaves. I'm going to go over the leaves with the light color, paying particular careful concern about those flowers so we don't make them green. Remember, dot where you have to, breathe where you have to. Okay, there's the green light. Now I'm going to go to medium. I think it's medium, and I'm just going to go kind of along those lines, if you will. I'm going to go down the center and just a little on the lines, just to give me the tiniest bit of two colors. Hopefully you can see that right there. So it's just a little bit. Now if you wanted, you could go back and blend that up, but I kind of like it that way, so I'm going to leave it. Alright, next I'm going to do the yellow. There again, I'm always thinking of the lighter colors. I started with the lighters. So this is Citrus Blend. And this time I'm going to go for the full strength dark color. And that is going to be in the center of my flower and on this little baby flower. That's all we need to do. Okay? And now to our red. I think I use the dark red more than anything. I'm always pulling that one out. So if there's one I probably need to buy another one of, it's the dark red. So light color first. I am going to just dot that flower to make sure that I get just what I want, okay? And then I'm going to breathe. I'm going to come in next to that yellow and just be very delicate, very light with my color. Find somewhere to hold on to it. So, again, just slow down. turn it when you need to. Okay, there we go. Now let's go to the medium. And what did I do? I don't remember what I did, but I'm going to do something different. I'm just going to add some little flecks out like that. And on this one, I'm just going to put a little dot in the middle of that flower. Then I'm going to go to the darker one and just add a little bit smaller flecks and a dot there. It's better to turn your paper. You can see I was going around, I was straight here, and then they started curving. So it's better to turn your paper and make them straight. Unless you like the curvy, then do the curvy. Okay, and that is it. Let's show you that. So there is the whole thing. And then, remember I brought in the shimmer brush in lemonade color, which is new to the catalog. That is currently going for, oh, the other thing. See that right there? Make sure you hear the snap. Go back when you're done with all of them and make sure that they're tight so they don't dry out, right? Who wants a dried out marker? Nobody. All right, shake, shake, shake. I'm going to put, okay, let's see. I'll put a dot in the center of this one. So that way I can show you what the difference is, hopefully. Hopefully you can see that. And then, because I like shimmer, I'm going to add a little bit to this pretty little flower. Who doesn't need a little shimmer in the tropics, right? Okay. So there we go. Hi, Fonda. Thanks for watching. So there we go. There are your 3 little coloring tips for today. Does anybody have any questions? I'm just waiting to see. I know it takes a while to type. I'm like frantically typing whenever anybody says that. I have a question, I have a question. I'll give you just a second more. If you weren't here in the beginning, I will post this as soon as I get off, and it'll be here soon. Again, shopping. Oh, and today, I forgot to say, wanted to mention, it is Christmas in July for Close to My Heart. They are going to have a sale online, so it would be right there. And it starts at 2 o'clock our time, Pacific time. And this is Friday the 17th, and goes until Sunday at 10:59 p.m. And that's when it ends. So if you want to get in on that, I will try and post a reminder. Don't know how my day is going to be, if I'm going to be around. But you want to get on right at 2 o'clock. You want to go in, see what everything is, put it in your cart as you're going down, and check out as fast as you can. Some items are meant to sell out because they just have a few. It is Christmas in July, so you're going to see some Christmas stuff. I know you're going to see some Christmas stamps. Watch out for, because they'll have the like 2 stamp sets, and then they'll have a bundle of that 2 stamp sets at a little better price. So depending on if you like those 2 stamp sets, the bundle is a better way to go. I know there's going to be some flip-flops for anybody that likes those. I know there's going to be some paper. I don't know what kind. Once in a while we'll get a little hint, and that's why I know that there's going to be white glitter paper. Shh, I didn't tell you that. So, think about your Christmas stuff. White glitter paper is always a good thing to have. But shop early, shop quickly, and have fun. Know that you're going to pay shipping on the regular price, not the sale price. So factor that in. It's going to be, so if it seems a little more, that's why. Because your shipping is on the regular price. Because just because it's on sale, it still weighs the same. So they still have to ship it at that same price. Kind of makes sense if you think about it. And they have kept our shipping down to 7.95% of the product. I think in my 24 years coming up this August, we have had one increase in 24 years, ladies, from $4.95 to $7.95. And this last couple of years ago, they switched carriers to keep the 7.95%. So close to my heart is watching out for all of us. So happy shopping. Well, hi, Lori. So glad you could make it. I'll have the replay up to watch soon. And y'all have a good day and happy shopping. And I hope you get what you want. And I hope you find some things that you weren't thinking that you wanted that you want. Bye now.